here. Dr. K.S. Balasubramanian, an eminent Sanskrit scholar, yogic researcher, and the director of Kuppusamy Sastry Research Institute, Chennai. I am welcoming you on the behalf of our college, sir. With an illustrious career spanning over 4 decades, he had been guiding force in the field of Sanskrit and yoga studies since 1982, mentoring numerous postgraduate and doctoral scholars. A gold medalist in MA Sanskrit from the University of Madras, he holds 2 doctorates, one from New Delhi on Hatha Yoga and another from University of Madras on Yoga Yagnavaliyam. His academic journey reflects a rare blend of rigorous scholarship and deep spiritual insight. Dr. Balasubramanian has, to his credit, over 70 edited and published books and numerous research articles in leading Indological journals. His scholarly works, including English translations and critical editions of classical yogic texts such as Goraksha Samhita, Yoga Upanishad, Swarudaya, and Hatha Sankita Chandrika, and invaluable contributions to the field of the Sanskrit and Yoga literature. His lectures and research presentations across India, Europe, and other parts of the world have helped bring India's ancient wisdom to global academic and spiritual platforms. Beyond his academic achievements, Sir has also served on various doctoral committees, editorial boards, and academic councils of reputed universities. His dedication to the propagation of Sanskrit and yoga has earned him numerous recognition, including Lifetime Achievement Award from the Hartford Institute, USA, and Indian Academy. Welcome to you, sir. Thank you.
Now, I kindly request Dr. Sumana, IQAC Associate Director, to felicitate the guest.
It's an honor to stand before the great Professor ADS, as he is affectionately known, and the Government of India has conferred the Padma Shri recently on him, a very rare achievement in his field that shows his contribution, especially in the field of Indian knowledge system, and particularly in mathematics, astronomy, and so on. I am thankful to Dr. Ramadevi, who also did a lot of work when she was a research scholar in our institute. Her MPhil was on a very interesting topic, Ganjiva Karanam, that is the card play in Sanskrit literature. She took a lot of pain to correct the Indian version of card play. And her PhD was more interesting topic, dream motif in Sanskrit literature, which covered a wide spectrum of literature, including Western literature, psychology, and from Vedic period onwards, traversing to the Idihasas, Puranas, and Indian schools of philosophy, Ayurveda, and so on. So thank you, Dr. Ramadevi, for inviting me. And we have, whom I call modern Saraswati here, who has taught thousands and thousands of students of chartered accountant students. Many of the chartered accountants that we see today are her students. So she is a very proud one, and she is well versed with Arthashastra. Now, when I listened to Dr. Elias, he gave a wonderful presentation of the corpus that is available on the literary aspect, philosophical aspect, the religious aspect, the scientific aspect, contributed by our ancients scattered throughout India. Of course, there have been a lot of attempts to count the number of manuscripts. We can point out to the manuscripts available in recognized libraries, universities, but there are still hundreds and hundreds of private collections. For example, recently HRNC officials met me in my office, and from one temple alone, they got more than 4 lakh manuscripts. God knows when they are going to catalog it. And as pointed out by Professor MDS, when they asked me whether we could help, I said, it is beyond the lifespan of all of us put together. And recently, from another temple, more than 1.5 lakhs of manuscripts have been discovered. They are bundled and in sacks, and they are put in one room and locked. So they need to be brought out. So many interesting things are available. I will tell you just 2 examples. During 1940s, many manuscripts were taken away from India. Many went to Germany also. Of course, we know Britishers took so much from us. Indian Office Library, in London, they have got precious manuscripts which are not even available in India. Some of them are not even available in India, and they charge exorbitant amount if you want to get a copy of it. Only we are very careless in handling the manuscripts. And from Germany, during the Second World War, Russians took many manuscripts. And when this was told by none other than the great exponent of Bharatanatyam Shastra, Dr. Padma Subramanian, to me, when I conducted a public bio course for a student in Madras University, she narrated 2 incidents when she was in Russia. One, when she went to Leningrad to perform there, the director took her to the basement and showed her numerous manuscripts, formerly manuscripts, and he probably said, we developed ICBM, Intercontinental Ballistic Missiles, based on a particular manuscript. So she said her nephew, who always around my son, he was also there at the time, Shasun. He tried to copy the names of the manuscript in the little available time, and one was called Astra Prayoga. I also checked the catalogs. God knows what is there. Still it is not published. In our epics, we come across a lot of astras, missiles being used, Ramayana and Mahabharata especially. But the great saints, Valmiki or Vyasa, they have not described how to make this. Perhaps they wanted the people not to misuse them. And next, Dr. Padma Subramanian had another program in Kremlin, in Moscow, in an open air theatre. And the weather prediction was, there will be a downpour, disturbing the program. But the program went on smoothly, and she went and asked the organizers, how come your prediction also does not come true? And the particular person told her, we came to know how to penetrate the clouds from a manuscript got from India. So I tried to probe into it. There are texts like Meghamala. At least 2 or 3 texts are available in the same name. One belongs to Garga Samhita. The Garga Samhita is not available in full. And there are Meghamala manuscripts available. So they talk about how to impregnate the clouds, what they do now, artificial cloud seeding, and also how to make rains, how to dispel the mega or the clouds. This particular branch of study is known as nephology, study of clouds, nephology. So we have got so many things which we have lost. At least some of us can try to probe into things to our capacity in our own subjects. For example, chemistry, physics, mathematics, botany, zoology, astronomy, so many things. There is no use here after saying that India invented zero and we know the value of pi even before the Greek came to know about it. Bodhayana invented it, we have got the riches, all such things. There are so many things in other subjects also. So each one, any or some of the students or something can give a small project to peep into it. And there are so many texts pertaining to each animal. Ashwasastra is there, Gajasastra is there, first the Ayurveda, Gajashikshana Paddhati, Gajagrahana Paddhati, these are some texts. How to train elephants. So they call it elephantology, which we have not learned so far. So many things are available about the birds. In the vulture or eagle or falcon, there are so many varieties, no? 16 varieties have been given. So there is Mridopakshi Shastra. We are not aware of such things, you know. We only say Sanskrit means so many things. That's why I wanted to highlight the life sciences. Of course, yoga is also a life science, but let us see what is the life science. So first I will start with this Vedic prayer, which is very common, which they do before study of any text. Bhadram karne vishruyama devaha, Bhadram pashyema kshaviryajatraha, Stirai yangai spruttu bhavum dastaruhi, Vyashemade vahidai yadayuhu. So I stop here. Which says, let our eyes see only good things, auspicious things. Let our ears listen to only good things, auspicious things. May our limbs of the body be as firm as possible till we have our lifetime, even in our old age. And may we spend our lifespan as designed by God. So the idea is, as long as we live, we should be healthy. All limbs, all parts of the body should be healthy. Now the question comes, whether life came only after the birth. What are you doing? So for your livelihood, we say, no? I am a teacher, I am this, that, and all that. What is right there? That's when it comes. Whether it exists before this. And how is it produced, if at all it is produced? And how it transforms into so many things. What happens if it leaves a person or an object or an organism? All these things have been described so minutely in our earlier literature. I will give just one example, because there are a number of examples. In Chandogya Upanishad, there is a story. One boy, Aruni, goes to his father, Gautama, asks him, showing the tree, what is this? Father, it's a big tree. So now the father asks, where from the tree comes? He says, from the fruit stand. Cut it. What do you find? Flesh. Cut it. What do you find? Seed. Cut it. What do you find? So if you cut the seed, what do you find? Nothing. That's what he said, no? But the thing is, as the proverb goes, nothing comes out of nothing. So there should be something in the seed to germinate, to produce another plant which becomes a tree, which may produce hundreds and hundreds of seeds and then trees. So it is invisible. You may call it potency, you may call it the life, you may call it the life force, whatever it is. Unless it is there. Not all seeds germinate, you know, not all seeds produce trees. So that should be the potency. Therefore, they have gone so deep, one by one reason they try to explore. For example, Nirutta. Yasa wrote it before Panini, 6th century BC, let us say, following the Westerners, please excuse me. So, there were a lot of commentaries on Nirutta also, etymology. He gives 6 developments. Asti, Jayate, Vardhate, Viparinamade, Apachiyate, Nashyati. Most of the terms are very simple. Asti means is. So first, the existence is. Then Jayate, it is born. Vardhate, it grows. Viparinamade, it transforms. Apachiyate, it deteriorates. Nashyati, it goes. 6. Lord Krishna put it somewhat difficult with the word difficulty. In Bhagavad Gita he says, Nasato vidyate bhavaha, nabhavo vidyate sataha, ubhayor vidrishtavantaha anayoho atmadashrihi. There can't be existence for an unreal thing. If it has not existed, it cannot come all of a sudden. So, there, if it exists, it should be real, there should have been real existence. It was also Nasadiya Sutta. It's a very famous one which hundreds of people have explored. It is called Hymn of Creation. Just 8 mantras, wonderful one. So it says there was either existence or existence and so on. So they try to probe into all these things. So there should have been something which pre-existing before this life started, so that the cell was created, we will see that, and then it transformed into different methods. Now, does everything produce? If everything produces another species, then will it be born with no deformity or deformity? This is a beautiful question. You see, in ancient India, this system of education was not there. Just like, I'm sorry, our professors coming for 1 hour or 40 minutes giving lecture, when they first joined for the PUC, those days after 11th standard, we had to go to PUC. The first class, the professor, commerce professor said, fellas, here we are not teachers, we are only lecturers. We give only lectures, we will not teach you. So we give some talks or something like that, or some sums, problems or all. It was not there. There was interaction, there was discussion. The personal interaction between the guru and the disciple. And there was academic discussion with integrity. If I don't know anything, I have to ask somebody. If you read our Upanishads, even the great saints went to many saints or kings who knew this subject, like Janaka and others. They admitted. Now, there was one such incident recorded in Charaka Samhita. One school of medical science known as Atreya School and another one is Bharadwaja School. They were discussing how is a child born. That was the topic. So one school said, because of the parents, okay, accepted, which plays a major role in the birth of a child. Not all parents get children. So, one thing said, it is the environment, the proper environment. It should be hygienic, should be clean, should be comfortable. Others would deny it. No, there are very rich people whom we see now in society, but they don't have children. It is not the environment alone which plays an important. On the other hand, we see a lot of people in the back home, they were 4 children, 5 children like that. Okay. And then, what makes a child to be born as with deformity? If the father or mother has got some deformity, the child will get deformity. It's not so. Take my own case. I don't have any deformity. My wife, I have never met her before marriage. But the first child that I got was having congenital heart disease. He lived for 5 years and he died. He underwent one major surgery when he was just 5 days old. Why he should be born with a heart deformity? Science cannot answer it. Though Dr. James Jenny gave 4 answers, the final answer was the science has not given any answer. So, there is no answer. Both will be healthy, but the child may be blind, the child may be having hunchback, or he may be lame, or may be deaf, or may be dumb. So it is not the parents alone who decide this. On the other hand, the science says, the parents may be having deformity, but the children born to them may be, they are born in perfect health. For example, the father or mother may be lame, but the child need not be lame, or blind, or whatever it is. We see this phenomenon everywhere. In many places we find the parents living for lot of years, but the children die. Why does such thing happen? So, such discussion has been faithfully recorded. Now, who can decide this? There is something beyond this. So it says, we have to accept one thing. Then we go to philosophy, what we call the karma. Of course, scientists may not accept with that. Karma has been accepted in Oxford Dictionary also, karma and dharma. So, otherwise science does not have any answer for this. And there are a lot of such examples we can give. Why children who are born for no fault of them, for no sin of them, they don't have even one meal or one bottle of milk to drink. Whereas there are many children who have got so much, whether it's in Africa or Asia or anywhere else. Why should he be born there? Why should he be born here, she, or whatever it is? So we don't have an answer. So we have to accept that. But nevertheless, ancient Indian system tried to probe into such things. And I will take just 2 branches. One is called psychology, and another is called genetics. Psychology means the science which studies about the cells having structure and form. Each cell, see, what is this body made of? Ultimately, if you ask anybody in philosophy, it is made of Panchabhutas. Earth, water, fire, air, and the space. What is it made of? In philosophy, especially in Nyaya and Vaisheshika, crudely considered as ancient Indian logic, let us say. They say, what is the difference between a mustard and a mountain? Size. Why is it so small and another is so big? So they say very simple answer. This contains less number of atoms, this contains more number of atoms. Everything in this world can be divided into so many fragments till we go up to the atom. Even if you dissect it, you will get what they call Paramanu subatomic particles. That's all, you cannot go further. You can't call it. In the same way, everything is in this body is made of cells. And our ancient days, especially Ayurveda, says just like the cells behave, because of the influence of each of the cells, the particular organism of the body or the part of the body or the person himself behaves so. So this body is made of cells. That's what Ayurveda says. Shodasam samudaya vichanti purusha. In the human body, they say it is the collection of the cells. Yavanto murtimantaha. As now, just like the structure of the human body, so many cells are there. And bhava visheshaha, then your attitude. Why do you behave like this? Sometimes my hand is not cooperating with me. Sometimes brain or some organs, they fail because the cells are not functioning. Therefore, the Ayurveda explores such things. In fact, Saraka has devoted one complete section for dealing about cells alone. But there should be a cause for these cells also, because that is the tiniest particle. You know what is called unicellular organism? Water. So everything came from water. That is the unicellular organism. So our Vedas, whether it is Rig Veda, which says Adhyasambhoga Prithivyeda Charanga. Adhyasambhoga, from the water came this yam. And then Yajurveda says, Apahayeva idamagram asuhu. Only water existed in the beginning. And Rigveda, as I mentioned in Nasadi Sutta, also says, everything was only water. How long, how deep it was, it is unfathomable, you can't say how it was. So much of water. So the cells, due to some chemical process, gave birth to, the water gave birth to the cells. That's what they say. Then what happened? This word appeared from the plant. From water, plants came. So the plants came much before the human beings and the animals. That's what our Shastras say. And without that, human beings cannot survive. Therefore, Lord Krishna says in the Gita, Annad bhavati bhuta bhavanti bhutani parjanyat anna sambhavaha. From the food or the matter, all these elements exist. And from them, the rain comes. And from the rain, the plants come. But the plants are necessary to create rain. So he says it is a cycle. The one who understands the cycle will live long. When we break that, we read the consequences. Therefore, in ancient India, if you read our Vedas, they did not destroy the forest. In fact, in Mahabharata, it's a beautiful incident. When the Pandavas were staying in the forest in exile, one day Yudhishthira says to his elder brothers, today we are leaving this forest. They asked, why? We are comfortable here. No, yesterday I had a dream. The animals came and told me, if you are going on killing me for your food, where shall we go? We will become extinct. And we are using these plants. So let us go to another forest. This is how they gave importance to the environment also. So from the water came the cells, and from the cells, one by one it came. How does it propagate or procreate itself. 1 becoming 2, becoming 3, not this way. Our Shastras or Puranas are very clear. In geometric progression or arithmetic progression, 1, 2, 4, then 16, 64, like that goes on. In millions, Koti Sharanica. Koti means 10 million. So millions and millions and hundreds of times of millions and millions are created. That's how the cells came into existence. And what did the cells contain? Let us see that. But in modern science, only, let us see, in the 17th century, during the 19th century, 2 Germans called Shasun and Shasun, they gave a theory, that is exactly 1938-39. They gave a theory that this body is made of organisms and these are made of cells. So they discovered this. And exactly 20 years later, 1959, another scientist came called Virchow. He said all the cells derive or they come from pre-existing cells. Pre-existing cells. So how do we understand this? We say cell is a basic thing, but he said these cells have some pre-existing cells. That's what our scriptures also said, as I told you in the beginning. So what the modern scientists said, our science could somehow predict all these things. How? I will say it in the last. So our ancients talked about all these things long back. Now coming back to cells, Charaka, at least 2000 years ago, he said, whatever behavior is there in the human being or in the particular organ, living organ of a person, it is because of the behavior of the or the changes, modifications of the cells in the human body. It happens because of the peculiarities and structure of the cells. It's very interesting. I will tell you in the end how one thing can be transformed into another species. In yoga it comes of all these subjects. Okay. And Chandra said the cells pervade everywhere. And they are the cause for the body's existence. And they carry the life energy also. Now what happens if one particular part is cut, whether the life leaves the body? So Chandogya Upanishad said, Ekam Shakam Chinodi Ataha Sushyati. If you cut one branch, that branch becomes dry. Anyam Shakam Chinodi Ataha Sushyati. If you cut the second branch, it becomes dry. Third branch, it becomes dry. And if you cut the source, the root, he says Sarva Sushyati, everything becomes dry. Because the life energy is transformed, is taken from the source to all parts of the tree, all the branches and the leaves. And if you cut one body, let us say one finger, still the leg is there. One hand, still the leg is there. One eye, still the leg is there. Isn't it? But if you stop the heart, everything stops. Stop the brain. So we call it brain dead, no? So the source. So this is what our text says. Now, how does the transformation take place? As I said, from the water, the plants. How does the plant form? You know, we can say how things happen, but we cannot say why these things happen. even scientifically. We can only say how it happens, whether it is photosynthesis or whatever we read in science or other subject. Why should it happen? We can't say. So, Parashara, who wrote the basic text on botany called Vriksha Ayurveda. See, Ayurveda has so many branches. One is pertaining to the botany or the plants, Vriksha Ayurveda. So he says the cells, originally it was, as I said you, as I told you, water. Then it became Abhohi Kanalam Bhutva, like a juicy substance. It becomes a mass. And then, due to some chemical combinations, it becomes a seed, bija or bijamsha, one part of the seed. And that contains the nucleus that gives life to a plant. The same way human beings also, our texts have described all these things in detail. And why children are born, that are also given in our ancient texts. And then we say, recently means before 100 years or 100, it was who discovered that the plants also have life and they also have feelings. From Bengal, who is that? Jagadish Chandra Bose, Sir Jagadish Chandra Bose. Okay, you should have got Nobel, but he didn't get so many things. But our ancient texts, from the Vedas onwards, we have a lot of references. For example, Mahabharata says, every plant has got life and they have got senses also. They can listen, they can see danger to them. See, there is a particular plant you may have seen. Now we see it, touch me not, we say in English. Total siningi, we say, no? If you touch it, it will close. And you will find that these plants sleep in the night. Therefore, elders in the house say, don't pluck the flowers or leaves in the night. Because they are sleeping, we should not disturb them. So, our plants do have all these things. And they classify the plants into male and female. And they classify the plants or flowers as brothers and sisters. All such references are available. In fact, our institute has produced one book, Primal of Ancient Indian Botany, a huge book with a photograph. So, I think you can send it to your library, you can see that. How these things have been described long ago in our ancient literature. So, otherwise also talks about all these things. And Sushruta, you know, about Sushruta, I will just say a few words. He talked so much about embryology, the growth of the embryo inside the womb of the mother. From the beginning itself till the child is delivered. How could you see it? Nobody would permit him or anybody to cut open a woman who is carrying a child and see what is there inside. It is against ethics, isn't it? But those days, he recorded this in Sushu Samhita. He took the permission of the king. And those pregnant women who died due to some other reason, from the first month of pregnancy till the 9th month of pregnancy, he says, 112 or 116, I forgot, such bodies he exhumed. He cut open and started writing this, leading to a subsequent text which got the status of Upanishad called Garbhopanishad. It describes the development of the fetus. How the child develops within the womb of the mother in a well-protected environment. So Sushruta has recorded all such things in his book. And the surgical instruments that he used, cesarean is not new. It was there in our, and for information, even the taking the child from one womb to another one. I forgot the name in English, whatever, deporting it from one to another. These have been recorded. For example, Balarama. You check with your Vardhamana Mahavira, his life, he was also transferred like that. So these techniques under Vardhamana belongs to in the 6th century BC. You contemporary of Buddha. So these things existed in ancient literature. But unfortunately, we are probing only to some aspects of ancient literature, forgetting the scientific aspect in that. And then, Atharvaveda talks of so many things about the blood vessels and all that. I am not going into the detail because it is not my topic now. And how arteries and veins, this is also very important in the human body. What is artery, what is vein? Shira, Dhamani. Which is Dhamani, which is Shira? What are the functions? How many blood vessels are there in the body? I have asked this question when I finished my MA to many of the doctors. They said we can't count it. But many over they say it is 72,000. Some they say it is 3.5 lakhs. Sarda Kshatrayam Nadya. In Prashnoparishad they said 72 crores, 72 lakhs, 72,000 nadis are there. And that from they originate within the body. There is a difference of opinion. Whether they start from below, or from the navel, or from the heart, many texts differ on that. And now, what are their main functions? To carry the life or the prana throughout the body from top to toe. That's what these texts describe. So that the life can be sustained in the body. And our ancients knew very well that it is the cells which constitute the human body, because of which the living organisms are able to exist. And their peculiar behavior also is due to the behavior or the structure and the changes and the formation of these cells. And how many cells are there? They say, innumerable, because they cannot be counted. That's what uniformly Charaka and others say, even Patanjali also says, they cannot be counted. Therefore, they say asankhya cannot be counted. So in mathematics, in statistics, sir, please correct me, countably infinite, uncountably infinite, there are two things. See, supposing the sand is there, it is infinite, but still you can count it. Countably infinite. But there are certain things which can't count at all. So they say. And Patanjali, who wrote the Mahabhashya, commented on Ashadhyayi, he gives a wonderful definition. If you take this, some small species, I will come to it later, Ayurveda he called it, those which are not born, which we call asexual, not born due to the sexual intercourse, in one palm, just thousands and thousands of them are there. So because you can't count it. So there is no point in counting the uncountable number of things. So there is one small Upanishad called Muggala Upanishad, which says the tissues in the body and the cells, which are the concept for everything, these cells also create the tissues, And he says, what is the shape of the cell? He says, there are 6 shapes. And some of them are, they can be columnar, there can be ciliated, that is as thin as the hair. They can be spherical, they can be spindle, spindle you have seen in the mills, spindle-like. They can be fat, they can be subtle, all such things. And essentially there are 6 types. So he says, the skin, the muscle, the blood, the bone, the fibrous, and the marrow. One, mamsa, shoulder, like that it goes. But there is another cell. These 6 are always moving. But as I told you, slow that means to ooze, to fall, to move. But there is another cell which does not move, but which produces another species. That is known as retus, also called virya, shukra, the semen. So it moves. How was it produced? Our ancient text says. I don't want to go into the detail. So, in man, it came in the form of the semen. That's what it is. And this particular cell penetrates the egg and then goes into it to create another species. So when in this format generations are being created, one after the other, one after the other, one after the other. What happens to the generations? How to study them? That is known as genetics. From psychology, genetics is also important. It is one of the most important aspects of biology. Now we have got genetic engineering also. Then about bio, there are so many branches of studies are there. So it talks about the inheritance. We know the mango tree produces mango tree. The tiger begets another tiger. Human beings produce another human being, not otherwise. Why does such things happen? It is all because of the gene, isn't it? In modern terminology, they call it DNA, of course, different. So what is a gene? Any cell has one nucleus, which is generally in the center of that cell. And then, what does it do? When the cells divide, how it divides, let us say. All these things have been described in our text. So, they become a thread-like thing, like a beaded structure. You can see in our Google and all that, they are like the beaded structure. And they are arranged to form what we call the chromosomes. Now, all of us know there are 2 types of chromosomes, X and Y, isn't it? X and Y exist in female. X exists in male. So if a boy or a girl is born, it is only because of the combination of these 2. But X means it is predominantly male, but we blame the woman for it anyway. So, this gene comes from the chromosome, and then this gene determines, therefore we call it genealogy. What is the genealogy of Brahma? We say Ikshaku, Surya Vamsha, all these things. Genealogy. So, now we call it DNA and all that. So, these are responsible For what? For the transmission of the good health or the deformity or the diseases of a person. If the genes are disturbed, then diseases also accrue or some health can also be possible. So this is all because of the gene. As I told you, there are many words to denote this. One is called Rajas, another is called Shukra, another is called Virya. All meaning quite different things, though they connote the same thing. Because of its function, many names are being given. I don't want to go to the grammatical aspect of it. For example, Shukra means Sushikla, Virya means being without, like that it goes. So, slowly, this subject also was developed. And then, why a male child is born or a female child is born, twins are born, or neither male nor female are born. So, the relation says, very simple. Piduhu Redo Dirichade, what happens? If the chromosome of the father becomes more than that of the female, what happens? Purusho, the male child is born. Then, Madhu Redo Dirichade, Striyo Bhavati. If the female chromosome is more, then female child is born. Then it says, Vayo Bija. If both are the same, neither male nor female. We call it Napumsaka in Sanskrit. We call it Yunak or whatever it is. And now, these always exist in Pan. Yugala in Sanskrit we call it, XXX and XY. And these are responsible not only for the sex. How is that a person gets twins or three, things like that. Thank you, sir. And this text says, because of a particular air, see in yogic literature, the prana that we call life essence or life force is divided into many varieties. So, predominantly they call it 5. Prana, life, essentially exists in the heart, Kriti prana, they say. Apana, which goes out. Udana, which goes up. From the throat normally goes up. Samana, which exists in the navi or the navel, which digests the food. Vyana, it pervades the whole body. But it is the same prana which gets different names according to the place and the functions that it does. So, for example, you are not professors. For your parents, they may treat you only as a father. Your children may treat you as a mother. Or your students may treat you as a teacher, like that. So, prana gets different names according to the place and the functions. And there are 5 upapranas, that is the auxiliary one. Naga, Kurma, Krikara, Devadata, Dhanjaya, based on the functions. So Naga, Udgari, Naga, Ityajaha, when we have vomiting and other things, it is a function of Naga. Kurma, Unnire, Sudhari, I understood. I want to repeat so that I remember. So you are thinking your eyes are closing and opening. There is a particular air which is caused for it. And another one, that is, Krikara is responsible for sneezing and other things. Devadata is for your yawning, belching and all that. The last one, called Dhananjaya, many texts say it does not leave even the dead body. How can it happen? So Yajnavalkya says it is the cause for the swelling of the body. Now you see, even if a person is dead, the body becomes, it swells. I have seen many things like that. It is because of this aspect of the air inside. So one prana getting different names moves. Without that, as I told you, without the prana, even the tree does not exist, nothing can exist. So prana is everywhere, including the minerals. Only thing is they are not manifest. Yes, they are manifest. That is the thing. So what happens? This particular air called apana, when it breaks the radius, the semen, into two, then the person gets twins. So you can imagine one of my young friends now has got 3 here in Andhra. So it is all the cause, that's what they say. Not only that, and the Ayurveda says it is because of that, it is because of one's karma, and third one, because of its nature, that's what it says. But science does not give any answer to this so far. Now, what about children born with deformity? It's not like that, So, the ancient text says, I just quoted, Yakulita Manasaha, if the mind is disturbed, Andha, Kujaha, Vamana, etc. Bhavanti. Children are born with blindness, hunchback, or short stature. A classic example you see in Mahabharata. Dhritarashtra was born blind because of what? It's called Ambika Putra. Ambika was sent to him for impregnation by his mother. What happened? She closed her eyes. She was not, she did not want to see the old saint Vyasa with the long beard and all that. So the child was born with blindness, Dhritarashtra. The next one went. What happened was, she became white pale because of shyness. Therefore, the son was born as Pandu. Pandu means white in Sanskrit. Again, the mother said, the first one, she said, no, I will not go. Second one said, no, I will not go. So she sent, cleverly, that princess sent the servant maid. And she was a lady of wisdom. She venerated Vyasa like anything. So Vidura was born. A lot of intellectual prowess. You see, if the mind is disturbed also, these things can take place in life. Therefore, not without reason, our elders in the family also, I thought I will talk about it later. We should have good pictures when the lady is pregnant in the house. We should play Veena. Now we play only at the Kumsamana. Good music, good pictures, good things to listen. And even those who may not believe the science, including our own Kamal Hassan, I am just telling you, who proclaims to be an atheist, he said quite a few times that when he was in the womb of his mother took him to many dance programs. He became a great actor, great dancer, great actor. And how many of you know Cassius Clay? Have you heard of him? Pardon? No. Boxer, yeah. What is his name? Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali said, I am the greatest. But Allah is greater than I. That's what he said. He converted into Islam, but still. Muhammad Ali. He said, they were from a poor family. His mother took him when he was in the womb to many of the boxing arena. He has written that in his autobiography. So these things may influence, external things may influence us. Therefore, this period is also very important. So, mind also plays an important role. Now, we say which part of the body of the child resembles whom? That is also recorded. Now, when the child is born, people say, oh, Appa, we say in our daily life. So our Ayurveda texts also record all these things. In short, all the soft body parts, they are derived from mother. Certain things like the nail and the bones and other things, they are derived from father. This is what is recorded in our text. Now, Prashasta, as I told you, in two ways the offspring is born. One is sexual and another is asexual or asexual. First one is called Yolija, because we got one source. So, in Sanskrit we have got four. Andeja, Udbija, Jaraja, and Svedja. Not all of them are Yolijas. Andeja, that is which is born of egg. We have the bones and other things. Jaraja, which is born of the womb. Mammals, the animals and human beings are there. Udbija, that which breaks open and comes, all the plants, they break here and come. Svedja, which is born out of friction, so many insects, so many things, they come out of friction. Four types of life species are given in our literature. Now, not necessarily everything is born out of, born in the sexual. There is something called asexual. And Patanjali in his grammar text describes all such varieties. As he told you, he says in a palm, thousands and thousands of these things, insects can exist. So they divide. One becoming two, two becoming four becoming 8 like that. And each cell, they say, has a membrane and a nucleus, as I told you. And even the cells have got memory. In modern science, they call it cellular memory. So, particular cell goes only to the particular part. This cell does not go here or here or something like that. So, these things have been described in our text. Now, what about the second variety, asexually born? This branch of study is known as parthenogenesis in modern terminology. Parthenogenesis. So we have got a lot of references to it in our ancient literature. For example, in Mahabharata, in the Shanti Parva, Vasishtha describes about these things in an entire chapter to Raja Janaka. He talks about it so confidently because he was also born like that. Vasishtha and Agastya in our literature they are known as Kumbhajemba. They are born of the party. So they are also like that. And then we have got others. For example, Kunti. How many children did she get? Pardon? Not Murugala. Karna. And then Yudhishthira. And then Bhima. And then Arjuna. So these are also cases of that. And then she taught this to Madri, who got to Nakula and Sahadeva. Before them, who was the teacher? Drona. Drona was born to Bharadwaja in the same way. In the Drona means a small cup, let us say. And whom did he marry? Kripa's sister, Kulaguru of Kauravas. Both Kripa and Kripi are also born like that. So our epics records all these things. And we know about Jesus Christ. They claim that he was not born out of sexual intercourse. We call Virgin Mary. We have to respect that. Because we do have a lot of such references. So, Vasishtha talks about all these processes And he says that these things cannot be learned from books. These requires what he says sukshma darsha, that is a subtle vision. Or, in other words, you have to study with microscope. That is also sukshma. But those days there was no microscope, therefore subtle vision. How to protect these? We know. Can you guess how these Kauravas came into existence? We know that what Gandhari did. And Vyasa took the 100 pieces and put them into pots. Not simply that. It was not mere pot. Where did he keep them? If you read Yasi Parva, beautiful description is there. He kept in a ghee-like substance, fluid, at a particular temperature. Beautifully described. Like what we keep in the incubator. The pre-mature baby, we keep it in the incubator, no? So he gave an order. Don't open it till I come back, till I say. So he came at the appropriate time and then he opened it. So such techniques are also known. But how is this sukshma darsha can be attained? Through yoga. So, I am a student of yoga, so I come to it finally. Patanjali in his Yoga Sutra says, Pravrityaloka Nyasa. Then he says, Sukshma Vyavahita Viprakrishna Jnana. By concentrating, meditating deeply in the inner light, that is the light of the heart, one gets the knowledge of subtle elements which are hidden and which cannot be seen. So all these things Patanjali also writes. So how are they able to find out what is below the earth, this and not, or what is at far distance? See, for example, our ancient calculated even the eclipses, the movement of all the planets, and how they look like, all these things, because of such things. But when I said this to one scientist in our research institute who wrote a book, Weather Things in Ancient India, you know him, Dr. A. Salamanathan? So he was the deputy director general of meteorology department. He said, no, I do accept. It is only observation, it's not science, he said. But anyway, so Patanjali writes this. And then, this knowledge is possible through intuition also. How is it possible? So, Patanjali says, how do you know this? Navijakregaya vivajnanam. Very simple. When you meditate or you concentrate on the navel chakra, you come to have the knowledge, you derive the knowledge of the constitution or the formation of the bodies. That's what Patanjali writes. So all the alignments of the body, cells and everything, they knew only by this. Now comes this question, can one body be transformed into another? Isn't it? Can a male be made into a female? Or, in the Siddha they say alchemy, can the copper be transformed into gold? I have been telling many, including my son, who did chemical engineering in BTech and MS in chemical engineering and all that. To go into it, he said, no, I don't believe all this. Because modern people don't believe. Patanjali says, development of a new species is possible from the existing species. How is it? So Patanjali says, a new species is generated by changing its nature. That's what he says. Jati anta parinama. It can be changed into another species. Prakritya pura. By filling it with some force of nature. How is it possible? Can something transform this into it? He says no. Nimittam aprayojakam. The incidental cause, whatever you make something to bring this change, does not cause any change in the original. What does he do? He says, "Aprayojam prakriyam." It is not useful in that. He says, "Varanavedastu tadahachete." It is only remove the obstacles. Varana. Something prevents the brass or copper from becoming a gold. See, for example, what is diamond? Diamond is a charcoal. How does it become? Something is preventing this charcoal to become a diamond. Now you remove that obstacle, it becomes a diamond. Is it possible? Yes. How? He gives a good example. He says, Kshetriya, there is a farmer. The water is made to flow in one canal or channel. Suppose he wants to bring the water to another field, what does he do? He breaks open the barrier, what we call harbor. If you go to the fields, you can see. He just makes one break there, allows the water to turn there. If the other water is put there, then he will cross it. So just like removing the obstacle, that's what he said. He did not bring any new water or something like that. What was there in the field should also get water. So he broke open the barrier and then allowed the water to flow. The same way, there is one barrier, there are some barriers. For example, one metal may have a particular number of molecules. Gold may have something else, isn't it? So what we should do? Either we should add or remove the unwanted things to make this into that. If we do this, if we succeed, we will become very rich. But in Siddha literature, I try to read a lot on this, but very difficult to understand how you should do and all this. A lot of things are there. Even Arthashastra talks about it, about the metallurgy and all that. And in the same way, can a male child be born to a woman? How is it possible? There is a particular ritual in our thing called Humsavana. You know, when the lady is in the third to fifth month, this ritual is being conducted. You know what they do? In the nostril of the mother, the expecting mother, they take the offshoot of a banyan tree and then they extract the juice and pour it. It is supposed to bring, therefore it is called Pum Savana. Pum means male. So it is supposed to bring male child. Whether it is scientific study has to be done, whether it takes place or not, because you can't change the sex of the child at the third month or fourth month. Science says like that. But our rituals are like that. So there are so many things to be scientifically studied as far as these particular branches are concerned. Psychology and genetics. Still, a lot of things are to be explored. I just gave you some examples to create some interest, whether it is in yoga or some other things, if we study from this perspective. Because traditionalists, they have their own way of preserving the tradition. We can't blame them. But yet, if we want to know from scientific point of view, we can probe into it, and materials are available, or we can find new materials. So, on behalf of our Kukusam Research Institute, I welcome you all. You can come there, make use of our library, make use of all the staff who are available, and then whatever we know in these subjects, we are prepared to share it, so that it is a collaborative attempt. Now, in Government of India is spending, just for information, crores of rupees in Indian knowledge system. Whether it is architecture, or Arthashastra, or Yoga, or any branch of study for that matter. I fought for it in Delhi to include Kalidasa. They said, no, sir. You are applying for some other project. I said, do you mean to say that Kalidasa does not contribute to Indian nervous system? He said, no, Professor, they are not saying that. But under this, don't bring Kalidasa. So there are so many things to be thought out, which we can try to do in each of our fields. One may be an expert or a specialist in this field or that field or that field. The thing is, let us probe. Even if you don't study, there is nothing to lose. For example, agriculture. We produced a book, Krishi Manasara, 1st century BC. In ancient Indian agriculture, surgical instruments, town planning. You know, many of the towns which we see now still exist. The buildings still exist. Painting, for example. I think for more than 1,000 years. The iron pillar in Delhi, they say 1,500 years old. But what we have now, 5 years, we get rusted. The paints also go. Why? There is particular thing, Rama should be doing in Cheta Sutra. In between the Rama. This is explained. There are some other texts. How paint? Because these things are not known. If they are not, many of these modern companies may have to close. Now, if you buy any electronic goods, 5 years guarantee, that's all. I mean, lifespan is only 5 years. But there is no openness. People don't want to share the knowledge. That's why we lost so much. At least now, you have got time, you have got energy, you have got faith, you can do. People like us become more tired to accept that. Unless people excess come up trying to probe into it. These things only will be fossil. They will be kept in museum. Just to go and see. What is the use of keeping thousands of manuscripts in the manuscript library? Unless something useful is brought out of it. So, thank you very much for your passion learning. I thank the college management for giving me this opportunity, especially Dr. Rama Devi for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Dr. K.S. Balasubramanian sir, thank you for your thought-provoking lecture and the presentation on life sciences of ancient Bharat. To mention a few things, so your presentation made me to go back to my roots. So sir was mentioning about the meteorological director, how he used to observe. So one of my close relative who worked for the Air Force, Indian Air Force. So he used to observe the clouds, especially the cumulonimbus and other clouds, and every week they used to prepare the map and based on the cloud formation so that the planes can fly smoothly without any disturbance on the weather. And also, like sir has mentioned about many other the cytology and the genetics and ancient cities and towns. So to mention, I think you know about that. I have made a study about 500 villages based on the epigraphical sources, and also like Padma Shri, Dr. M. Srinivas has shown about the Chengalpet and Ulavu. Likewise, the ancient 18th century record and the 1200-year-old record I had, and especially the gazetteer. From that, I was able to retrieve 500 villages. From out of it, I have prepared a huge book. It has to see the limelight. For 8 long years, I'm waiting for the book to get published. Especially in the 1200-year-old record and also the 18th century modern English record, British record. So I have made a particular study on a village near Tiruvallur. It is called the Coom, the origination of the Coom river. So till now the city is, it is actually a village, agricultural village. It remains as per the record. So this is how the greatness of our Bharatiya Jnana Parampara. Thank to you.